If you ever been starving at 3 p.m. even though you had lunch and you wonder why can I just not be hungry, well, you're probably missing something, but it may not be willpower. It could just be fiber, which is a key component to keep you full. In fact, only 5% of Americans are eating enough fiber in the day. And so if you ever wondered why you can't stick to a diet, this might be the missing piece. Here's why food that are rich in fiber matter so much for fullness. They take longer to digest and therefore keep you fuller. They also trigger a satiety hormone, pretty much like GLP-1 drug that tell you had enough. They're also harder to chew, think broccoli. And finally, they have a lot of volume, for example, because of the water. So kind of for less calories, you kind of eat more. But let me tell you about the problem. It's the fiber gap. Here, the recommended amount of fiber to eat is as follows. It's about 27 grams for female and about 35 grams for male. But the problem is that on average, females eat about 15 grams of fiber and men 16. And what that does is that it creates a gap of 12 grams for women and 19 grams for men. And so when you don't have enough of this fiber, that's the gap that keeps you hungry throughout the day. Now, there are two key things you need to know in order to properly incorporate fiber-rich food into your meals. First, you need to combine fiber-rich foods with foods rich in proteins, because protein-rich foods also send a signal to your brain that they had enough food. And you need to also therefore eat your protein targets in the day. And if you do both, then you get the 1-2 punches to keep you full. The second thing is that not all fiber-rich foods are equal. In case you've already tried, many people, what they do is that they end up reaching for fiber-rich foods like chia seeds, granola, or nuts. Yes, they are rich in fiber, but they're also very high in calories. And as a result, you end up, yes, staying full, but you kind of may blow up your calorie limit in order to see weight loss. So what you really want to do is find fiber-rich foods that are relatively low in calories. And in order to show you which ones these are, let's go to my kitchen. Welcome to my kitchenette. Let's go over the list of fibers you want to include in your meals. I'm going to show you an overview now, but if you subscribe and leave me a comment, I'll give you a checklist of the top fiber-rich foods together with their fiber content and calories, because you want to have both informations. Broadly, there are 3 groups of fiber-rich foods. First, the green leafy vegetables: spinach, cabbage, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus, cauliflower. They're great because for very few calories, you get quite a bit of fiber. So for example, in your lunch and dinner, you want to have half a plate worth of them together with other vegetables for taste. Then, as a second group, you've got basically the legumes, such as lentils, and any beans you could think of. Red kidney beans, black beans, pinto beans, edamame. They are great because although they've got more calories than your green leafy vegetables, they also contain quite a bit of proteins, so they play a double role in your meal. You still want to have probably a main protein source, but if you have a fist, so to speak, like that, of a legume or a bean together, you're gonna basically both boost your protein and hit your fiber target for that meal. Finally, we've got the whole grains like oatmeal for breakfast or barley and other ones for lunches and dinners. These ones are a little bit more calorific, so you want to use them a little bit more occasionally than the other one. And finally, the bonus, which is quite a few fruits are fiber rich, especially the berries one, raspberry, blueberry, and the other ones, but also an apple or a pear, which serve as a great snack. And so in order of kind of best, so to speak, the green leafy vegetables together with your veggies are probably top of the list. They offer most fibers for less calories. Then the beans and the legumes, they still are sort of a great proportion, especially because they provide you the proteins as well. And then occasionally the whole grains. Now let me show you how you put this together in order to reach your target of, say, 30 grams of fiber in one day. You got to be intentional about it and use it in most of your key meals. For example, in breakfast, you can have half a cup of oatmeal and a cup of raspberry. At lunch, in addition to your protein source, you can have half a cup of lentils as well as some veggies. Then at snack, you can have an apple plus half a cup of edamame. And then at dinner, you want to have again, for example, half a cup of one bean or a grain plus some more veggies. So after all, fiber is not complicated. It will help keep you full to trigger weight loss. All you need to do is at each key meal, be mindful of key fiber sources to add in your meals in addition to your protein.